All right, buckle up for today's deep dive.
Sounds exciting. What are we diving into?
We're heading straight into the heart of the Roman Empire.
Ah, the Romans. Always a good time for a deep dive. What part of their history are we looking at today?
We're talking about a time when, well, let's just say emperors weren't exactly chosen in the most democratic of ways.
Oh, I think I know where this is going. We're talking about the year 193 AD. Right. After Emperor Pertinax is assassinated.
You got it. Assassinated by his own Praetorian Guard, no less.
Talk about a betrayal. Those were supposed to be his protectors. It really makes you question who you can trust.
Right. We're diving into Chapter 5 of Gibbon's The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire.
A classic.
And it really paints a vivid picture of this whole wild period.
Gibbon does a great job of showing how this event, the assassination, it wasn't just some isolated incident.
Oh, absolutely not.
This really exposed, the immense power of the Praetorian Guard.
They're more than just soldiers, right?
Way more. They were kingmakers. They had exerted this dangerous amount of influence on emperors since Augustus, really.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if, say, the Secret Service in the U.S.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Instead of, protecting the president, they could actually choose who got to be president.
And everyone just goes along with it.
Exactly. That's the level of power we're talking about here with the Praetorians.
And when Pertinax was murdered, they saw their chance.
A golden opportunity.
They decided to auction off the Roman Empire to the highest bidder.
Okay, now, our listeners need to understand this.
This is big.
We're not talking about auctioning off, some old furniture here.
Yeah.
We are talking about the entire Roman Empire, from North Africa to Britannia, all up for grabs.
The heart of the empire up for sale. It's almost unfathomable. And what's even crazier, someone actually bought it.
Enter Didius Julianus, a wealthy senator.
Known more for his lavish lifestyle than his political skills, let's put it that way.
Here's where it gets interesting. Gibbon paints this incredible contrast. On the one hand, you have Pertinax, the recently murdered emperor, known for his simple tastes.
Trying to save money, be responsible.
Right. Then, boom, in strides Julianus, buys the throne while, and I quote, indulging himself in the luxury of the table.
Talk about reading the room.
I mean, seriously. But Gibbon also mentions this really intriguing detail.
Oh.
He says that after the party, after buying the Roman Empire, mind you, Julianus spent a rather sleepless night.
I can only imagine what was going through his head. What have I done?
Right. The weight of that realization, it's almost too much to comprehend.
He's bought the most powerful position in the world.
But at what cost?
Wow.
The empire's a mess. The Praetorian Guard. Who even knows what they'll do next?
And he's made himself a target. Every ambitious general in Rome is gunning for him now.
Talk about buyer's remorse. It really makes you think, was Didius Julianus just totally clueless? Or was there something else going on there?
And what does all of this tell us about power itself? I mean, this is Rome, the most powerful empire in the world. And even they weren't immune to chaos.
It really makes you wonder.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Right? It's like he wins this crazy auction. He's got the power, theoretically, but is it even worth it at this point? I mean, the empire's on the verge of collapse.
Yeah, and here's where things go from absurd to downright dangerous.
Because this is just the beginning, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Julianus's reign, the one he just bought, it was doomed from the start.
Because the legions, the ones actually out there defending the empire, they weren't too happy about the Praetorian Guard's little power grab, were they?
Not a chance. Think about it. You've got these hardened soldiers risking their necks on the frontiers, and word gets back to them. Oh, by the way, the Praetorians are selling off the empire now.
Yeah, not a good look for the Praetorians. So what happens? Did the legions just sit back and let this happen?
No way. They had a say in who ruled, and 3 powerful generals in particular saw this as their opportunity.
3. Okay, who are we talking about?
You've got Clodius Albinus over in Britain, Pescennius Niger in Syria, and then there's Septimius Severus. He was in charge of the legions in Pannonia.
So instead of one emperor, now there are 4 guys all vying for the top spot. This is where things get really interesting.
Oh, absolutely. This is a full-blown power struggle in the making.
What set Severus apart, though? I mean, he clearly understood that brute force wasn't going to cut it, right?
Oh, Severus was a smart guy, a brilliant strategist. He knew that speed and decisive action were key.
And probably a good dose of charisma wouldn't hurt.
Exactly. He understood how to get people on his side to make them see him as the rightful heir, the one who would bring back order after the Praetorians caused all this chaos.
Right, so he's got the brains, he's got the ambition. But how does he actually manage to come out on top with these other three generals all wanting the same thing.
Severus was cunning. He realized that while the other contenders were busy consolidating their power, building up their forces in their respective territories,
Rome itself was wide open.
you got it.
Yeah.
So he makes this lightning-fast march from Pannonia right into Italy.
Wait, hold on. We're talking about moving a whole army across mountains
Yeah.
in those days.
Yeah.
That must have taken forever.
It was a huge undertaking, logistically speaking. But Severus, he was a master of deception.
Deception.
Oh, yeah. He kept up this whole facade of just trying to restore order in Rome, avenge poor Pertinax, deal with the Praetorians, all very noble.
But really, he was making a beeline for the throne.
Exactly. By the time Julianus realizes what Severus is really up to, it's way too late.
Oh, no. Poor Julianus.
The Praetorian Guard, those savvy political strategists, they switch sides, of course, leave Julianus high and dry.
So what happens to him?
He's executed after a whopping 66 days as emperor.
Wow. So much for buying your way to the top.
Yeah.
It really does go to show that power, especially that's not really earned.
It can disappear just as quickly as it comes.
But let's talk about Severus. He's finally gotten rid of his rivals. He's standing triumphant in Rome. What does he do next? He doesn't waste any time, does he?
Well, Severus, he wasn't the type to just sit around and celebrate. He was a practical guy, maybe a little ruthless even. He knew that to really be in charge, he had to make a statement.
And I'm guessing a strongly worded letter to the Praetorian Guard wasn't going to cut it.
Not even close. Severus made an example of them. Public humiliation, stripped of their rank, banished from Rome. The works.
Wow. So much for those cushy Praetorian perks. I bet that got everyone's attention. But what about those other generals? The other guys who wanted to be emperor? Niger and Albinus, was it?
Severus didn't leave any loose ends. They were hunted down and, well, you know how these things go.
Not well for them, I'm guessing.
Let's just say Severus wasn't afraid to use force to get rid of his enemies. He even had 41 senators executed, along with their families, all because he suspected them of being disloyal.
Okay, that's cold. He might have brought back order, but it definitely came with a hefty price tag.
That's the thing about Severus. His legacy is, well, it's complicated. On the one hand, he brought stability back to the empire, reforms, grain for the people, even expanded the borders.
So, a pretty effective emperor.
In a lot of ways, yeah. But he also changed things in a big way. Remember how we talked about the Praetorian Guard and all their influence?
Oh, yeah. They were calling all the shots there for a while.
Well, Severus, he actually decided to make them bigger, gave them more power, tied them more closely to the emperor.
Wait a minute. He made the Praetorian Guard even stronger after what they pulled with the whole auction thing. That doesn't seem like the smartest move.
It seems counterintuitive, right? But Severus, he had this idea. A bigger, stronger Praetorian Guard, but totally loyal to him. That was the key to staying in power.
So it was all part of his master plan. Control the Praetorians, control the empire.
Exactly. But as we all know, even the best laid plans, well, history has a way of taking unexpected turns.
It makes you think about how our time will be seen by, future historians. What would they think of the decisions we're making today?
It's a good question. Maybe our version of selling off the Roman Empire is happening right now and we don't even realize it.
That's a chilling thought. And on that note, I think we've done enough exploring the Roman Empire's year of madness for today.
Indeed we have.
For all of you listening, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Keep exploring, and we'll be back soon with more fascinating stories from the past.